Okay, it's Black Mirror week on our 10-minute rants, and this week I'm going to be talking about the new season of Black Mirror. So I think that's season 7, I believe. Let's just say I'm right. Let's talk about episode 1, which is called Common People. Now, this is an episode that I have to admit, I liked what this episode is saying. The issue is that I have a lot of problems with how the world is set up here. Now, if you're familiar with Black Mirror, it's mostly a speculative fiction series that really focuses on the impact of technology and how certain new technologies can really mess with our society. One of the weaknesses that I believe Black Mirror does is that oftentimes you watch an episode where a character is introduced to a certain new technology that's out there that I really feel like they should already know about it. This will make sense as I get into this week's rants on this season's episodes. Now, Common People is about a couple named Amanda and Mike, and they're played by Rashida Jones, who you might recognize from The Office and Parks and Recreation, and Chris O'Dowd, if you watch the IT crowd, or the IT crowd, or whatever the show is pronounced. But essentially, they're a couple that you see that is very happy, but you can tell that money is a problem. Amanda's a school teacher, and Mike works at some construction job. And then one day, Amanda gets sick, and she has to have a part of her brain cloned or something like that. Now, this is where this episode doesn't really make a lot of sense. I kept having to go like, okay, here's the deal. She has to have part of her brain cloned, but there's this company known as Rivermind, which can do the process for her, and then you pay like essentially monthly subscriptions fees to this thing. Now, it's sort of strange that this show that's on Netflix is doing an episode talking about the problem of paying monthly subscription fees. And yes, most other people have noticed this irony as well. And the fact that I think they bring this up, and then because the biggest problem, of course, in this show is that they have to pay these monthly subscription fees, and then this company, Rivermind, jacks them up and then keeps changing the service of this, and they really discover that there are a lot of fine print to this contract here. For example, like they want to take sort of this trip, but the moment they try and leave town, apparently this service will just stop. So apparently Amanda starts just kind of, just sort of passes out. But the moment they get back to they turn the car around and they start to get back to their place. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying this. The service gets back in. And to me, of course, it's like, and then they have to pay for a program if they want to travel or something like that. Apparently there's like Rivermind Plus or something like that. So they have all these little stipulations in this thing. So, and as a result, they have to get this one type of program in which Amanda just says ads. Now, the way this is done, I have to admit, is kind of interesting because I think we all have subscription services that we just sort of tolerate ads for. I mean, we really do. And I think this is supposed to be a meta-commentary on this. Well, maybe not a meta-commentary, but a commentary on this. But there are some things about this that I don't really get. For example, like here's the thing. As Amanda is just like at home or something like that, she'll sort of spout out just an ad for something. Like for example, she and her husband are about to get intimate, and she starts spouting out an ad for lube or something like that. And to me, I'm going like, okay, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. I don't really know, to me, I guess it's just part of an algorithm, but if there's something in the program that allows her to say just ads, and apparently like her mind doesn't even know she's doing it, like she'll just kind of do it, she'll just spout out the ad. But I'm kind of going like, well, who's your intended audience? I mean, if you have the technology to send ads through her mind so she can say them at given times, why in the world is she just saying it to an audience of one? And I'm kind of going like, this feels like not really an effective means of advertising. And then apparently this ad thing comes up once more because, like I said, Amanda is a school teacher, and then I believe that there's a kid who comes up to her and with certain problems, and her ad thing that she does, where she just spontaneously says an ad, basically talks about an ad for like Christian counseling. And then, of course, since she's a public school teacher, her boss comes up to her and says, like, "Hey, man, we got a problem. You were telling your kid to go to a Christian counselor." So basically, I'm kind of going like, all right, okay, so you have this service in your head that has you spout out ads, but you can't communicate with that service that it's like, "Hey, I'm a school teacher. I can't do ads at this time." And I think maybe that's the point, is that a lot of these corporations are just not very consistent as far as like what you can and cannot do. And I think this is supposed to be a commentary on it, but realistically, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. I kind of went like, surely this, like they could call Rivermind and explain like, "Hey, I'm a school teacher. I can't give ads like this." And honestly, why is Rivermind supporting an ad for a Christian counselor? Did they pay the highest fee for that? To me, it's like, it's really, hey, I watch YouTube all the time, and sometimes I get ads for Christian corporations, and I just assume that they just sort of pay for those. And yeah, I tend to sort of ignore those as well, but I just kind of go like, there's a lot of things happening here that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So here's the deal. Since she has to say these like ads all the time, they really want to get that removed, and to do that, they have to update their subscription, which means they're losing money, which means that Mike has to do this thing where he goes essentially online and does stupid things for money. Now, honestly, I don't really feel like this is really futuristic, because we really have this thing. You could probably go on TikTok and probably figure out a way to make the service themselves. I feel like, unfortunately, in this case, these things support self-harm. Like, say, for example, they say, "Hey, I'll give you such and such dollars if you yank out one of your teeth." And so Mike is doing self-harm to just promote himself. He's doing it under a mask or something like that, but one day at work, it's revealed that he's kind of doing this, and and the people at work make fun of him, and he gets upset, and then there's it sort of escalates a bit too quickly. I think he pushes some guy around because he's angry, and then that guy ends up kind of falling into something. That's a dumb accident occurs. So Mike gets fired, and so this is an episode that is, they are at the point where they can't really afford their services anymore, and this episode gets super dark as far as like what this really means, because actually not only does this service allow you to get your, it clones part of your brain, but apparently you can get an upgraded service so you can adjust your happiness levels. And I'm kind of going like, okay, this is getting kind of weird now, but I feel like this is a natural progression of how this works. I will give this episode points of like, okay, I don't really believe the science at all, but if you could do this, this would probably be the inevitable result. But there are some things I just kind of had problems with. I kind of thought like, okay, I don't really think you could do that, and I think a lot of this stuff is forced to make the plot happen. So what does this lead to? Well, it leads to that situation where essentially they can't really afford the service anymore. So, husband kills the wife. Yeah. And I had to admit that was an extremely dark ending. And also he smothers her with a pillow, and I'm kind of going like, this would be investigated, right? I feel like someone would find out about this. And then the fact that one of her last words isn't like, "I love you" or anything like that. It's like, because the wife, I think, agrees to the fact that it's a sort of an assisted suicide is what he's doing. And maybe that's legal in this world, future, or whatever kind of world we're living in here. So, and then we see Mike, unfortunately, is still kind of doing the dumb things online to support just himself, apparently, after that she's gone, because one of the big things is they were trying to have kids, but unfortunately due to the service, they never really could do that. I feel like capitalism is in the target of this thing, and for that, I kind of support this episode. I think it's really good as far as its statements are going, And it isn't really not too preachy, but I will have to say some of the stuff that happens in it doesn't really make a lot of sense if you think about it.